Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Saturday, July 19th. So, normally I do off the weekend, off the rail on the weekends, but I thought since I missed a day this week, I'd fill in with today's. And that is, what is the right amount of money to charge? And why should you be charging a certain amount? So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. If you didn't already know it, yes, this is the weekend. The weekday is Monday through Friday, where we talk business and so forth. And on the weekends, I go off the rail, right? But today, I thought I'd kind of stay with it since I missed a day this week. And that is, how much do I charge? What is a feasible amount to charge? And that's going to vary from individual to individual right off the bat, okay? And then it's going to vary depending on your skill level, okay? And location. Again, there's another one. Now, the farther you get out from the towns and cities and all that, the less expensive it is to live for the most part, right? And so the guys that are inside the suburbs and the cities are going to be charged anywhere between 120 and 140 an hour. That's the going rate. Some are even higher than that now. And then as you gradually work your way out, it gets less. But here's what I'm here to tell you is it's not so much what your hourly rate is, it's the quality of the work and how fast you can get it knocked out. All right? What I like to do, and again, you guys chime in the comments of things that you do and maybe something I can tweak on my own end. But I've been doing it long enough so I know just about how long it's going to take to do X, Y, and Z, okay? And we've gotten pretty good at getting stuff in and getting stuff back out. So we've talked about this before, is like you take somebody like you, Jason, with a carburetor on a chainsaw. You could probably tear that down, throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and put it back together and have maybe 10 minutes of your time total doing it. It may take you time to sit and wait for the ultrasonic, but most of you, like Jason, is not going to be stopping and sitting there drinking coffee waiting for that to get done. No, you're going to be doing something else while that's sitting in the ultrasonic, right? So you're not actually losing hours. But once you've got kind of an idea of how long it takes to get it done, figure that out in an hourly rate. Now, if it takes you, see, the thing is, there's no job in my shop that takes less than an hour. I'm going to tell you right now. A diagnostic is 45. An hourly is now 65. So if you bring something in and want us to fix it, you're looking at a minimum 65 bucks. If you bring it in and you want me to take a look at it, say yay or nay on it, it's 45. But if I feel I can fix it within that hour's frame, the 65, I knock it out. And the problem that develops is as we become more proficient, as we become better, we get better tools, we get specialty tools for certain jobs. I've got tons of them. You know, and the list goes on, the faster we become, a lot of times we screw ourselves. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you're just starting out and you're charging, let's say 45 an hour, that's fine. To get started out, get your name out there, get the quality of work out there. As you become better, what may take you just starting out 2 hours may take Jason or Claude an hour. So with you charging 45, now you're at 90 bucks an hour compared to what Claude and Jason are. and we're charging $65 an hour. If you can figure out how long it takes to actually do that work, and then, because there's good luck with this. I mean, I used to stay up on it. When it comes to warranty and stuff, flat rate, it's hard to find it out there for shops to be able to use it. But as you become more proficient, if a job normally takes an hour and a half and you're a good mechanic and you can knock it out in an hour, you should still charge for the hour and a half. That's where you're screwing. The shop is screwing itself by becoming too proficient and not charging enough. And I'm telling you right now. I mean, if you're sitting there and you do quality work, your hourly rate is reasonable, and you're not busy, something's wrong. And like you said, Jason, a lot of times just having the sign on, the grass clipped, and looking nice will bring people in. If they see a shoddy place, they're going to think shoddy work. Same thing with clutter. I'm guilty of it the big time. Is if the shop isn't nice and clean, then they're going to feel that the work you're doing on their equipment isn't going to be up to par either. So you have to take that into consideration as well. People driving by. Is there enough signage out there to let them know who you are and what you are? Or are you just flying by the seat of your pants? See, there's nothing wrong with running specials. And we do it all the time. It's so much plus parts. Like spring special for riding lawnmowers, it's 150 plus parts. And why is it plus parts? Because an air filter on one could have a $70 difference in what it costs. And when you're doing that service, see, a lot of people say, I just change the oil and sharpen the blades. But if you could upsell that to a full service, and we don't do just, I'll be honest with you, we don't do just what our customer tells us. If they bring it in for a service, it gets new plugs, new fuel filter, new oil. Synthetic goes into everything that we have here. We check the belts. Because like Claude says, I don't want to see it again, because if we see it again, it's going to be a ding on us saying, well, we should have caught this or caught that. And he's right. And I'm right. Because it's the last thing you want is do-overs, because it costs the shop even more money, not just because you're doing it for free on the second time around. It's because of the optics of a customer. I told you about the one that is a friend of ours, that his mom had a John Deere mower and they sent it to one of the bigger John Deere shops to have a complete service done on it. And she paid $800 to have that serviced. She didn't make it twice around the yard and the belt broke on the drive belt. And she called him up and said, the drive belt broke. And they said, okay, we'll be out to get it. Well, they come out and they got it, replaced the drive belt on it, charged her for trucking again, charged her for the drive belt, and charged her for the labor of doing it. Really? That was another $400. So now that she got $1,200 into her John Deere riding mower from one of the bigger shops, do you think that left a good taste in her mouth? No, absolutely not. Is she going to be looking elsewhere? Probably. If you're doing certain things, like you can do the spring special with your lawnmowers, and you can do the fall special with snowblowers, which doesn't take a lot. Change the oil in it, spark plug, kind of that's it. And make sure that there's gear grease in the gear oils and in the front end. There's not a lot to it. Air pressure, cables. You should be able to get one of those in and out in 15 minutes if there's no issues. But here's where your customer has to understand. This is what we're charging, but if we encounter anything along the way, that's a way to upsell, right? If you're doing a spring service and you find out that it needs a deck belt, it's getting pretty shoddy, that's an upsell because you should be making some money marking up the parts. See, a lot of people, that's where they fall short when they start into this business, is they don't understand profit and loss. And I'm not talking about out there making a killing, because I don't know anybody that's in small engine repair that's out there making a killing unless it's on somebody's YouTube channel. To do physical repairs, you are not going to get filthy rich. You aren't. Not unless you can make your shop like a McDonald's and start, franchising them across the whole United States. There's an idea for me. Let me franchise. I'm so great. Let me see if I can't find more Claudes out there. No, you're there making a living. That's the short of things. If you haven't by now, do it today. Sit down with an Excel sheet and put down all your costs. Your rent, your lease, your taxes, insurances. The list goes on, right? Put them all in there. Or get QuickBooks. QuickBooks will do it for you. Just, you got to punch in the numbers and stuff, right? And then that will give you a certain amount per month, okay? And then divide that into the amount of days that you work. So if you're working 5 days a week, that's 20 days a month that you have that you're running that shop. And it will tell you right down to the dollar of how much you should be making each day to break even and how much is above break even. And I can tell you right now, there's going to be days where there's nothing hardly coming in, and then days that you're going to have twice as much coming in. As long as you can get it somewhere near, or this is break even, and then you want to be running just above it. If you're a one-man band, this is really important. If you're a person that has a business and employs people, that's super important, because you're paying that person that hourly wage, whether they got something in their hand or not. You understand that part? And I've had mechanics in the past complain, oh, you're charging $50 an hour and you're only paying me $20. All right. What's the question? Well, you're making more money on it, then you should be paying me more. No. You want to sit down and figure out the bills? I got the building. I've got insurances. I've got taxes I pay. I've got employees that I have to pay. And what about me? What about me? There's the best question you've asked all day long. Well, what about me? Well, if you're not making some kind of a profit, are you going to want to continue doing that? No. I probably could get more money by having myself be a Walmart greeter than I could if I'm just floating and not paying attention to profit and loss. You have to know, I don't care how much you make a year. It's how much you gross is one number, and how much you net is another one. And the net is going to tell me, are you profitable or are you not? See, the banks like to look at your taxes. Everybody tries to make their taxes so they don't have to pay in as much, right? That's a common thing. And there's certain ways of doing that. But I don't go by that. If somebody wants to talk about business, talk to me about their net. And then I'll take their net and I'll divide it amongst how many work days there is in a year, and that will tell me how much profit they got coming in per day. And in the end, they may only have like $10 profit, but $10 profit is sure and a hell of a lot better than $20 loss. right? Because if you're paying that employee through the lull where there's no work coming in, you're kind of screwed, right? If you're just running the gauntlet of when the money's there, and then when it's not, I have to figure out where to get it from. You have to figure out 365 days a year. And then how many work days did you work? The key to being in business and staying in business is profit. The key to increasing and, building your business is incremental. You don't need to have like a 50% profit at the end of the year if you had growth. Because with growth, when we were growing, I was putting all the money back into the business. And that's what you need. If you want growth, you need to put that money back in. The profits that you're making, roll them over and put them back in. And that's what I did. I ended up rolling it over, but I wanted to make sure that if I needed to close the doors at any point in time, I could do it. And that meant the shop had to be paid for, the equipment had to be paid for, the parts had to be paid for that were in stock, that we were shipping. Everything had to be paid for. That was my goal. And I reached that goal within 3 years of everything being profitable and actually having money to put aside for the business. But I wanted growth. Maybe you don't want growth. Maybe you just want maybe a few extra customers a year. But if you do quality work for a fair price, people will come. But as you said, Jason, you need to be there. And that's one of the downfalls that I've had this past 2 years, is that we're on the road quite a bit, picking up and dropping off. So that takes us away from the shop. And if a customer shows up or calls and you're not there, good chances are they're going to move on to the next one because they didn't get any response from you. And the worst thing you can do is, if you have an answering machine, is not to call a customer back if they called you. That's the biggest no-no. Because you're telling them that their time, your time, it's just not worth it to you. So when it goes into figuring out how much to charge per hour, look at flat rate. If you've been at it for some time, the acceptable rate for doing carburetor cleaner. If you don't do a diagnostic, you're going to get overwhelmed with a bunch of people bringing in crap. And I haven't charged my regular customers that until recently, because I've got one person that now is bringing stuff that they're finding beside the road, hoping for a gold mine. And before, I always say, don't worry about it. It's either yay or nay, Whereas most of my other customers, when they bring it to me, this is what it is for a diagnostic. Do you want me to go any farther? But a lot of times what I'll do quick is I'll have the customer stand right there and do like Jason said, put the compression tester on it. If you don't have any compression, that's going to tell you a lot. And then you could talk to them about diagnostic. We can go a little farther on the valves and stuff like that, but it's going to cost you money. If you want to leave it, that's fine. The worst thing you can do is fix something while a customer is there and hand it back to them. Because I guarantee you, it's going to have problems. And it will be coming back. Or they're not going to be happy with the bill because they sat there and they watched you do it. Or as Claude puts it, they're sitting there watching you and trying to pick your brain so that they can do what you're doing. If they want to become good at it, put in their hard knocks themselves. I've learned a lot in the last 3 or 4 years when it comes to repairing stuff. Because before I was the owner, I handled the parts side of it. We were doing a wicked online business. So that kept me pretty preoccupied. But now that I've kind of slowed my life down, yes, I'm getting older. I've taken on more of the repair parts. I do a lot of the handhelds out front and the motor swaps and that stuff. Where Claude, he does a lot of the service work on the riders and that kind of thing. But don't sell yourself short. Know what your profit, know what your costs are, and then figure it out how much you have to make per day work. And then try to set of how many customers you need to have walking through that door. You know, if things are really slow and you want to do something to change it up, absolutely. Go for it. And I'll tell you, when we're doing quite a bit, I don't want to dink around with the handheld, the weed trimmers that people have been sitting for 3 years and the fuel lines are rotted right off them. You know, but when things are slow, I'll pick them back out and work on them. Why? Because at least if I can sell it, you know, for 30, 40 bucks and I spent an hour on it, then I've got my money there. It's all ready to roll. And somebody will want a cheap trimmer. Guarantee it. So during the winter months, I'll grab the stuff that people have left that they didn't want to dink with, and I'll put a little bit of time into it. If you have the time, that's one thing. But if you're swamped, then that's something totally different, right? So put in the comments, you guys that are doing it right now, what do you charge an hour and what do you think is fair? If you're first starting out, your hourly rate should be around 45. And once you get in and underneath, you're doing it for a few years, 60 to 65. If you're closer to in town where you're paying a higher mortgage, higher lease, higher rent, it's going to dictate higher. How many employees you have is going to dictate what you charge an hour. But don't ever sell yourself short. Just because you became good at it and you can knock things out in a hurry doesn't mean that you should charge what time you actually have in it, is what I'm getting at. If something normally takes an hour and a half and you get it done in an hour, charge an hour and a half. Charge an hour and a half. You can do flat rate on a lot of stuff. And then if it's like doing your services and all that, but if it comes to replacing drive belts, deck belts, spindles, and this, that, you can jump over to hourly rate with it. You see what I'm saying? Tell me how you're doing it. All right, on that note, you guys have a great Saturday. We'll catch you here maybe for the Sunday sermon. If not, I'll see you Monday.